Marcus froze, the letter trembling in his weathered hands as he stared at the number on the check. $500,000. His mind couldn't process the zeros that followed the 5. Attached was a simple note, for the man who gave everything when he had nothing. Now I can finally return the favor. He looked up at Eliza, the quiet woman he'd helped outside the grocery store 3 months ago, suddenly understanding why she'd asked so many questions, why she'd been so interested in his life. She wasn't just a stranger down on her luck, she was someone with the power to change his entire world. If this story already has you wondering what happens next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories of kindness and unexpected twists that remind us of the good in humanity. Your support helps us share more stories like Marcus's journey from struggle to hope. Life had not been kind to Marcus Reynolds. At 36, his shoulders already carried the weight of a much older man, bent from years of double shifts at the factory and night stocking shelves at the local supermarket. His wife, Sarah, had passed away during childbirth 3 years ago, leaving him alone to raise their daughter, Lily. The medical bills had bankrupted him, forcing him to sell their modest home and move into a cramped one-bedroom apartment in the rougher part of town. Despite everything, Marcus never complained. Each morning, he would wake before dawn, prepare Lily's lunch, drop her at the neighbors who watched her during the day, and then head to his first job. His daughter was his world, her smile the only thing that kept him going through the endless hours of physical labor. He'd promised Sarah he would give Lily a good life, and he intended to keep that promise, no matter the cost to himself. It was a rainy Tuesday evening when Marcus first met Eliza. He had just finished his shift at the supermarket and was heading to his rusty Toyota Corolla with Lily in tow. The little girl was chattering excitedly about her day, her small hand clasped in his, when he noticed a woman standing beside a broken-down car in the parking lot, rain soaking through her thin jacket as she stared helplessly at her flat tire. "Daddy, that lady looks sad," Lily observed, tugging on his hand. "Like when Mr. Whiskers hides under the bed." Marcus was exhausted. His back ached from lifting boxes all day, and all he wanted was to get home and collapse into bed for a few precious hours of sleep before his alarm would force him back into the daily grind. But something in the woman's defeated posture struck a chord in him. "Wait here under the overhang, Lillipad," he said, setting down his groceries and making sure his daughter was sheltered from the rain. "Daddy's going to see if he can help." The woman, Eliza, was initially startled by his approach. She was well-dressed despite the simplicity of her clothes, with an air of refinement that seemed at odds with her current predicament. Her car was old but well-maintained, and she explained with embarrassment that she had never changed a tire before. "My phone's dead, and the roadside assistance," she began. "Don't worry about it," Marcus interrupted gently. "I've changed more tires than I can count. Let me help." As Marcus worked on the tire, Lily ventured out to introduce herself, immediately charming Eliza with her innocent questions and observations. By the time the spare was on, Lily had convinced Eliza that she simply had to see her collection of rocks that she kept in a special box in their apartment. "I'm sorry about that," Marcus said with a tired smile. "She's never met a stranger." "She's wonderful," Eliza replied, her eyes warm as she watched Lily twirl in a puddle, oblivious to the rain. "Thank you for your help. Not many people would stop these days." Marcus shrugged. "We've got to look out for each other, right? The world's hard enough as it is." Something shifted in Eliza's expression, a flicker of emotion Marcus couldn't quite place. She insisted on buying them dinner as thanks, and though Marcus initially refused, his growling stomach betrayed him. They ended up at a nearby diner, where Lily regaled Eliza with stories of her adventures at kindergarten while Marcus fought to keep his eyes open. "You work 2 jobs?" Eliza asked quietly when Lily became distracted by the dessert menu. 3, sometimes, Marcus admitted. "There's a construction crew that picks me up for weekend work when they need an extra pair of hands." "And Lily's mother?" A shadow passed over Marcus's face. "Cancer. We found out when she was pregnant with Lily. She refused treatment, wanted to give our baby the best chance. His voice grew thick. She got to hold Lily for exactly 8 minutes before he trailed off, unable to finish. Eliza reached across the table, her fingers lightly touching his wrist. "I'm so sorry." What Marcus didn't know, couldn't have known, was that Eliza Harper was not simply a woman with car trouble. She was the CEO of Harper Innovations, a technology company worth billions. She had been raised in wealth but had spent the past 5 years living modestly, traveling the country incognito, searching for recipients for her foundation's grants. She believed that true character was revealed not in boardrooms but in parking lots on rainy nights when someone thought no one was watching. Over the next few weeks, Eliza kept finding reasons to visit Marcus and Lily. She would bring groceries, claiming the store had a 2-for-1 special. She offered to watch Lily one evening so Marcus could pick up an extra shift. She fixed the leaky faucet in their bathroom while Marcus was at work, leaving a note saying she had a knack for plumbing. Each time, Marcus tried to refuse her help, his pride making it difficult to accept what felt like charity. But Eliza was persistent, and Lily had grown attached to her. For the first time since Sarah died, Marcus felt the tightness in his chest begin to loosen. He found himself looking forward to Eliza's visits, to their conversations over cheap coffee at his kitchen table after Lily had gone to bed. "Why are you doing all this?" he asked her one night. "You barely know us." Eliza was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "When I was young," she finally said, "my family went through a rough patch. We were evicted from our apartment, and a stranger helped us, gave us a place to stay until my mom got back on her feet. I never forgot that kindness. I guess I'm just paying it forward." It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. What she didn't tell him was that the rough patch had happened after her father's small electronics repair shop had been bought out by a corporation, or that the experience had shaped her business ethics when she later built her own company. As weeks turned to months, Marcus began to notice strange coincidences. The factory where he worked suddenly implemented a new healthcare plan that covered Lily's asthma medication completely. His apartment building was purchased by a new management company that immediately fixed the chronically broken elevator and reduced everyone's rent by 15%. The supermarket created a new assistant manager position and offered it to Marcus with better pay and daytime hours. "You're lucky, man," his coworker said one day. "It's like you've got a guardian angel or something." Marcus laughed it off, but doubt had begun to creep in. These changes seemed too convenient, too targeted to his specific struggles. And Eliza, for all her warmth and openness, remained vague about her own life. She would deflect personal questions or change the subject when Marcus asked about her job or family. The truth began to unravel when Marcus picked Lily up from school one day and found her excitedly showing her teacher a photo. "Look, Daddy. Ms. Harper is in the magazine," Lily exclaimed, holding up a business journal someone had left in the teacher's lounge. There, on the cover, was Eliza, dressed in an elegant suit, her hair styled differently, but unmistakably her. The headline read, "Eliza Harper, the billionaire who disappeared." That night, after putting Lily to bed, Marcus researched everything he could find about Eliza Harper. The woman who had helped him change a tire in the rain, who had sat at his kitchen table drinking instant coffee, was one of the wealthiest people in the country. Her company had revolutionized renewable energy storage, and her foundation was known for its unorthodox approach to philanthropy. 2 years ago, she had stepped back from public life, appointing a CEO to run day-to-day operations while she pursued what the press release called a personal project. When Eliza arrived the next day with Lily's favorite ice cream, Marcus confronted her with the magazine. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked, his voice quiet but strained. "Or was this all just some kind of experiment?" The pain in his eyes caught Eliza off guard. In all her foundation work, she had never become this personally involved. "Marcus, it's not what you think." "Then what is it?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been playing some kind of game." Did you even have a flat tire that night, or was that staged too? The flat tire was real, she said softly. Everything else. I should have been honest with you from the beginning. That night, over another cup of instant coffee that she now admitted was terrible compared to what she was used to, Eliza explained everything. Her foundation's mission was to find and help people who showed extraordinary kindness despite their own hardships. She had been traveling incognito, looking for deserving recipients. But then I met you and Lily, she said, her eyes meeting his across the table. And it became personal. I wasn't just observing anymore, I cared. I still care. Marcus sat in silence, processing her words. The past months replayed in his mind, Eliza helping Lily with her homework, laughing at his terrible jokes, listening to his stories about Sarah with genuine interest. Had it all been an act? Why not just give me the money up front, he finally asked. Why the deception? Eliza's expression grew serious. Because money without context can be a curse as much as a blessing. I've seen it destroy people. I wanted to know you, to understand what you really needed beyond just financial help. She slid an envelope across the table. This is yours, no strings attached. But I hope you'll let me help you figure out how to use it wisely. Inside was the check that had left Marcus speechless, $500,000 made out to him. I don't want your money, he said, pushing it back toward her. It's not charity, Marcus. It's an investment in Lily's future, in your future. You can finish your degree, start the small business you told me about, buy a house in a good school district. She paused. Or you can tear it up. It's your choice. The silence stretched between them, filled with all the things neither knew how to say. I need time to think, Marcus finally said. Eliza nodded, rising from the table. I understand. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for not being honest sooner. But I'm not sorry I met you and Lily. After she left, Marcus sat at the kitchen table for hours, the check before him, his thoughts a turbulent sea. He felt betrayed, manipulated, and yet, Eliza's actions had eased burdens he'd carried alone for years. Was accepting help from someone who could easily afford to give it really so wrong? Would Sarah want him to let pride stand in the way of giving Lily a better life? In the morning, he called Eliza. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the doorway of Lily's new bedroom, watching as she arranged her books on the shelf Eliza had helped him build. The house wasn't extravagant, a modest 3-bedroom in a safe neighborhood with good schools, but it was theirs, paid for outright with no mortgage hanging over their heads. He had used part of Eliza's money to open a small automotive repair shop, specializing in hybrid and electric vehicles, skills he'd learned during his factory years but never had the capital to put to use. The business was already turning a profit, and he'd hired 2 other single parents from his old neighborhood, offering them the flexible hours and fair pay he had always wished for himself. The rest of the money was in a trust for Lily's education and a retirement fund that ensured Marcus would never again have to work himself to exhaustion just to survive. Eliza had kept her word, the money came with no strings attached. But she had also kept her place in their lives, her relationship with Marcus evolving from benefactor to business advisor to friend and, eventually, to something more. She had insisted that her wealth should play no part in how he saw her, even refusing to help when his business faced early challenges, forcing him to solve problems on his own. You don't need my money to succeed, Marcus, she had told him. You need to know that you can do this yourself. As Lily finished arranging her books, she looked up and saw Marcus watching her. Daddy, when is Eliza coming over? She promised to help me with my science project. She'll be here for dinner, Marcus replied, smiling at his daughter's enthusiasm. And she's bringing those cupcakes you like. Lily's face lit up. The ones with sprinkles? Is there any other kind? As his daughter danced around her room, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. From the rainy night in a supermarket parking lot to this moment of simple joy, their lives had transformed in ways he could never have imagined. But the greatest change wasn't in their material circumstances, it was in the hope that now colored their days, the security of knowing that Lily would have opportunities he had once only dreamed of giving her. Later that evening, as the three of them sat around the dinner table, Lily chattering excitedly about her upcoming school play, Marcus caught Eliza's eye across the table. She smiled, and in that smile was a question, one he had been considering for weeks. Sometimes the greatest acts of kindness come from strangers who see our worth when we have forgotten it ourselves. Sometimes secrets aren't meant to deceive but to protect something fragile until it's strong enough to stand in the light. And sometimes, the richest people in the world are those who have learned that true wealth lies not in what we have, but in what we give. As Marcus reached across the table and took Eliza's hand in his, he knew that the greatest secret she had kept wasn't her wealth or her identity, it was how empty her own life had been until she found a family in him and Lily. In helping them, she had found a purpose beyond philanthropy, a connection that no amount of money could buy. The real secret was that in trying to change their lives, Eliza had changed her own. And in accepting help when he needed it most, Marcus had given her the greatest gift of all, the chance to belong.